Good afternoon.
Who are, thank you, IT. For those of you who are watching us on live stream, it's good to have you watch us on live stream, as well as, give us a few days after the meeting, then our minutes will be available to you also on the website, so you can also catch up that way. But I do think live streaming is the best way. And of course, you have your individual district commissioners you can always call and confer with about any questions you may have, as well as the staff here at the office. So we appreciate the public involvement, the public engagement, public input. There's a lot going on in Liberty County, all that we can't go into detail with at our meetings, but we certainly would be willing to do that with you offset. So please take advantage of that. Mr. Brown, has the meeting been properly advertised?
Yes, sir, it has.
Thank you, sir. At this time, let us stand for our prayer and pledge. I'm going to ask our in-house chaplain to do our invocation
He
for
might
us.
start charging us for that. Charge you with love, Mr. Commissioner. Let's pray. Gracious God, we are ever thankful, mindful of your many blessings in our lives, and we continue to thank you. We pray now, Father God, for a divine outpouring of your grace and your mercy and your divine insight tonight as these leaders, Father God, engage in business of this community. We pray that you would continue to bless them and show them up with your love, Father God. We pray for families that are struggling right now, Father God, that you continue to be with them and strengthen them, Father God. And we thank you for all the things you do for us on a daily basis, the simple things. We thank you for them. For us in Christ's name we pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. At this time, we're going to pause. Mr. Brown has a few special announcements and a recognition he wants to make, so let's entertain those now, please, while we have a full house.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. I want to just recognize a few folks here. One of those is among y'all, which is Commissioner Maxie Jones, the fourth. Mr. Jones just received the recognition of a certified county commissioner, which is very quick to do that. So he completed all of his core requirements under ACCG's learning program, which is very, very important. Now, I think everybody knows that. So I wanted to make sure everybody realize that tonight. Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations, sir.
The other one is also among us, and that's Chairman Donald Lovett, who obviously received your core certification some time back and then went on specialty tracks to be able to further that education. And most recently, among those, has completed the Quality of Life, Social Issues, and Revenue and Finance specialty track, ladies. So he's the one you need to go to now to talk to about those finance things. But congratulations.
You're out of order. Thank you. Thank you.
Next person who's received some recognition, in fact, as of yesterday or day before, was Gregory C. Stanley, who is gone. He left on me. He must have known that was coming. He received the certification from the University of Georgia for Local Government Chief Information Officer, which he's been working on also, which goes a long way with everything that's here, plus emergency services. So that's very good.
Let's give him a hand.
The last good news I bring you, there's really two parts of this good news, is that we're fortunate enough to be able to have our new CFO. The ladies tell me she's identifying as CFO in training as a designation, Miss Samantha Richardson. She's from Columbus, Georgia. She graduated from the University of South Florida, so it's a Florida school, but not the bad one, with a bachelor's degree in accounting in 2003. She's a licensed CPA. And in fact, she's been in the CPA business for about 19 years, most recently with our audit firm of Malden and Jenkins. And the lead guy was in here today, and I'll tell you, ladies, when I stepped in there to speak to him, I said, hello, and he was, hello. I said, I'm sorry. He said, oh, don't worry about it. I said, well, you didn't know what I was sorry about unless you were already mad. So, we stole her, which is very good. She has 2 daughters, 3 cats, and currently resides in Effingham County. But when her family, they're looking to relocate within the next year to Liberty County, we certainly hope so. And she is a Bulldog fan. She wanted me to tell you that, Mr. Gilliard. So you'll come up, I'm sure Kim will have a few words to say, but thank you so much for letting us take a minute to recognize those people.
Thank you, sir. Congratulations, everybody, and welcome. Yeah. All right, proclamations. We're going to start with the Natural Veteran Small Business Week. Mr. Brown?
Yes, sir. This is a proclamation from Liberty County Board of Commissioners for National Veteran Small Business Week. Whereas in 2014, the U.S. commemorated the first National Veteran Small Business Week to honor veteran entrepreneurs who continue to create more jobs that continue to the overall growth of our economy. And whereas veteran-owned businesses play a key role in the U.S. economy, making up 9% of all small business and employing more than 5 million people nationally. And whereas every year the Small Business Administration supports and celebrates veteran service members, National Guard and Reserve members, and military spouse entrepreneurs. And whereas due to our local military installation, Fort Stewart, Liberty County has an abundance of military and veteran-owned businesses that contribute to the growth of our local economy. Therefore, I, Donald L. Lovett, Chairman of the Liberty County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim the first week in November as National Veteran Small Business Week to celebrate all the men and women who have fought for our country and continue to build our local economy by creating new businesses in our region. So executed on October 20th, 2022.
Ms. Lee, is that you? Well,
The Chamber recognizes this week every year, and you always help us with that. We will be doing live streams with several veteran-owned businesses during that week. This is just your first meeting before that week actually happens, our last meeting, I guess. And we'll also be giving gifts to veteran-owned business owners and things like that, just a way to recognize the contribution that they make.
Leah, do you have, I mean, since we're doing so much filming in Liberty County, is that your startup now?
come on, ladies, then. Another hat that Miss Dr. Bell wears. Commission's view will gather around.
For the day.
Blame you.
Okay,
All right, make us look good, Bryce.
who's going to receive?
Ready? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Good to recognize that group. Good to have them in our community. I guess Dr. Bell's not going forward. She's just changing hats. Rivers Alive.
This is a proclamation of the Liberty County Board of Commissioners. Rivers Alive is Georgia's annual volunteer waterway cleanup event that targets all waterways in the state, including streams, rivers, lakes, beaches, and wetlands. The mission of Rivers Alive is to create awareness of and involvement in the preservation of Georgia's water resources. Rivers Alive is held annually each fall and is a program of the Georgia Environmental Protection Division Outreach Program. Whereas the citizens of Liberty County recognize that all life is dependent upon clean water and strive to restore and maintain the chemical, physical, and biological integrity of Georgia's waters. Whereas watersheds, the critical component of the hydraulic water cycle, is an integral part of all the Earth's systems. And whereas Georgia has 70,150 miles of streams and rivers that nourish our native plants and wildlife. And whereas the mission of Rivers Alive is to create awareness of and involvement in the preservation of Georgia's water resources through this annual volunteer cleanup of the 14 river basins in Georgia. And whereas October 22nd, 2022 is the 50th anniversary of the Clean Water Act and the International Day of Worldwide Monitoring. And whereas the Liberty County Board of Commissioners recognizes its commitment to engage citizens, civic and government officials, and business leaders to restore and preserve our watersheds in Georgia. And whereas Keep Liberty Beautiful and Liberty County Board of Commissioners are committed to elevate the importance of volunteerism and motivate everyone in our community to become stewards of the environment. Now, therefore, I, Donald L. Lovett, Chairman of the Liberty County Board of Commissioners, do hereby proclaim October 22nd, 2022 as Rivers Alive Awareness Day in Liberty County and call this observance to the attention of our citizens.
Good evening.
I would like to put the attention on my Bryce here. Stop right here. Or he has on the new Rivers Alive T-shirt that I hope every and each and one of you will receive by doing a cleanup in your area or sometime throughout the year until the end of December. Turn around. So you know you want one. So that's our new Rivers of Life T-shirt. Is Rivers Rule, because we can't do anything if we don't protect our waterways. October the 22nd, we have 4 cities that's going to conduct their cleanups, and that's Hinesville, Midway, Flemington, and Allenhurst. And then the other 3 are going to have them later on this year before December. So we hope that the county and the other cities will come about and join. It's always at 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Sometimes you come out and have some great lunch, like in Flemington. Yeah, they have some good lunches, I have to say. But all of them have good lunches. But Flemington does go way and above with their sickle pickles. So we're hope that you will come out and enjoy. And just remember that our waterways can't be clean and beautiful if we don't protect them. That's all we have.
All right. Come on. Looks like everybody be going to Flemington.
Oh, yeah. They had a trip to Atlanta and had to bring back 8 large boxes. Or we were
Sure.
There you go. But we made it happen.
You see everybody, Leah?
Commissioner Walden, smile.
Yes, that love.
There we go.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There you go.
Thank you so much, sir. Good job.
You got a good helper there, your grandson. You got a good helper. Righty. Thank you, everyone. Proclamations. Move right on to our departmental reports. Finance, Ms. Kim McLaughlin.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We just finished, actually, we just finished the August report yesterday. And that was with purpose and intent because I did want Samantha to be able to do the sales tax reports with me because she'll only have 3 months of those reports. And they contain a lot of information and a lot of footnotes and, yeah. Anyway, so let me just start with your basic report. So at the end of August, we have captured only about 6% of our budgeted revenues, and we have exhausted about 13% of our budgeted expenditures. The biggest thing is we've made the adjustment, and Mr. Chairman, you and I talked about this when we looked at some of the millage rate stuff. So on the balance sheet, at the end of August, there was 3.3 months worth of undesignated and unreserved fund balance. And I know in July, when we closed the month of July, we actually we reported that we had 6.6 months. But as I told you, that was a little inflated because of the bond issue that we did in June. So once we reserved specific things that bond issue was going to cover, and we made a reservation for that, it brought it down to actually 3.3 months worth of undesignated, unreserved fund balance, and that's what you wanted to know. Looking at the departments, there are a few departments that are running slightly ahead of schedule. In administration, they're running slightly ahead of schedule because of some payments due to made to professional services for the county salary plan and for the Mercer Group. And then in data processing, that is the department that is responsible for all of those annual contracts for so many software programs, including the finance department. So His budget is skewed a little bit towards the beginning of the year because he has to pay for all of those. I've talked to you before about the general administration and Superior Court because of those one-time expenses that we pay up front. Those are kind of skewed. Debt service, we still need to come in line for the enterprise lease agreements. Hopefully that'll start leveling off. But right now it's running ahead of schedule because I think of all the cars that we got in during the first 2 months of the year. And then other financing uses running slightly ahead of schedule because of the operating transfer out for the 911 system. At the end of August, your solid waste operations has a small net income right now of $101,000. All of the departments within solid waste are operating within their budgeted guidelines. And your special revenue funds, 911 running slightly ahead of schedule because of some payments to Motorola Solutions for their radio maintenance. So I do expect them to fall back in line within the next couple of months. And then your sales tax report. So we spent a lot of time on this to make sure that we had all of the obligations nailed down for some of those things that you did in your August and September meeting, for some of those commitments that you made, whether it was to the Sam Harris Gym, whether it was to Miller Park, whether it was to Davis and Salette Street. So all of those things should be in there now. And in August, our sales tax looked great again over $1 million. So at the end of August, we are $5.5 million ahead of schedule, which is fantastic.
Good.
And again, this will continue to collect until April. So we're definitely going to be over 54 million, because at the end of August, we're already at 53 million. Looking really good. T-Splosh, the same thing. Again, we added those commitments, especially for the Salette and the Davis Street and Allenhurst, so that's in there too. And the distribution for T-Splosh, again, we're about $500,000 ahead of schedule there. We received a little more than $900,000. So sales tax continues to do wonderfully. Nobody stopped buying things, no matter how high they seem to go, so good for us. That's all I have on my report, unless anybody has specific questions. I do want to remind everybody we actually had our first advertisement run in the paper today. I don't know if.
Oh, yeah.
Saw it, okay.
I didn't see it. I got calls.
Oh, you got calls, okay. So we will have a public hearing on November 1st at noon. And then we'll have a second public hearing, November 1st at 6. That is your regular meeting day. And then we'll have our third public hearing and adoption on November 17th. So I just wanted to remind everybody of the dates and time.
What were they? I'm sorry. Are you
November
gonna say-
1st.
November 1st.
At noon, and then again at 6. And then November 17th at 5. We'll have our last public hearing and then adopt.
I do have a question. Go ahead.
For elections, are we gonna be all right? Just trying to look at is there any anticipated expense?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely,
I mean, do we have anything we can look at that you think we're gonna have?
so, I don't, like, are we going to have runoffs? Are we going to have another special elections? I don't know that. I do know during the budget time, Rhonda worked very hard to try and gauge and look at previous elections to try and gauge, the costs that she would incur for this, even though this isn't a presidential election, it definitely is still a very big election because you've got your governor and, some of your other legislators on there. So I believe we'll be okay, but again, if you have multiple runoffs.
Which it could actually be a total of 7 runoff.
Wow.
Well, I mean, we've got sales tax that we're gonna be voting on at that time too. And-
Yes.
And we're looking at,
Yeah.
two months, Mr. Chairman, of fund, undesignated.
3.3 months
3
right now of undesignated, unreserved fund
I
balance.
think it'd probably be of course, I don't think it's too early to do it, but we probably need to make sure we get letters to all of the constitutional officers to encourage them.
So,
Next year, we need to try to hold, I mean, let's don't spend that budget.
yeah, so one of the things I was going to do is, before we actually had our first public hearing, I was going to try and put out some information to some of those elected officials, and certainly the department heads, and invite them to come to those public hearings so that they can see firsthand the information that I shared with you. So, as you know, once that budget is approved for them, they get it, and they don't have to cut anything. But I do believe that if they actually went through the exercise and reviewed the information that I shared with y'all, they would probably realize just how important it is this year to possibly turn some money back in if they're able to, because we're going to be utilizing fund balance at this point.
We had set up here, some of us had, I know probably before Commissioner Jones was, I mean, we were gonna try to be between 4 and 5 months of undesignated fund balance, and we know what
And again,
alternative is. And
this time of year is going to be this is the time when you go down low. And of course, right after tax bills go out and we get our first distribution, we shoot right back up to 7 or 8 months. So this is our lean time. So we expect it to drop during the months of August, September, October, and then hopefully we get the bills out and get some money in and it comes back up.
And which, I'm glad that you did what the chairman asked, so we know we got a true
Yes, sir.
fund balance now.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Of only 3
Yes.
months. Mr. Chairman, I did have a question. Did you say you already closed out last year? Have you got it closed?
Yes, we closed. We gave all the trial balances to the auditors, and a matter of fact, they started their field work this week.
Okay, do you remember what the collection rate on taxes was, what the percent was? I know we normally go 97%.
I know, and we looked at that report yesterday and didn't calculate. We were giving information to the auditors. I don't know what that is, but I'll make a note to
Yeah,
see
if
what
you
the
could let me know what-
year-end collection rate is.
Right.
Okay.
I know we normally plug in 93 to 97.
Yeah, normally, in the past few years, we've been doing 97. I think we've been
97.
holding at 97, and he's actually done pretty
Very
close to
well.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. So if you'll check that.
Board of
let me-
Education does, theirs too at 97.
97, okay,
97?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I made a
He
note to
probably
get
is
that.
hitting at that.
Yeah, if it isn't, I mean, I haven't known him to be below 96 in several years.
Good.
So it's been 96 and 97.
Okay.
I know everybody's been following what COVID had done and people without work and having to spend into their savings. And of course, now we're 2 years, basically, I just, there could be some folks that, having to make arrangements to do that. And I mean, 2 months is better than 0, but I like 4 months. I mean, I'll be real honest with you.
Yes, I understand.
And I mean, it's going to be important that it helps us to show the public when we having this sales tax that we're being prudent with that money, so.
Well, a year ago, we were at 4.2. Part of that change is the fact that your budget a year ago was 42 million and your budget now is 48 million. So a month of expenses is a lot more this year than a year ago. So- But yes, sir, I understand.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
Mr. Brown, Chairman, I'm looking at T-Splosh, Ms. Kim,
Yes, sir.
and I'm just, this signal and median at Butler Avenue, is that Butler Avenue in Midway? And I just got a question on it. Is the city going to help with that? I mean,
That's one of those mandatory projects, you're talking about Signal and Median Butler Avenue?
Avenue, right.
Because we haven't spent anything on that yet, but that was one of those
Countywide.
countywide
countywide?
projects.
Okay, okay. And the other one is, we hadn't had a meeting with them in a while, is Interstate Paper, D.S. Smith. That project has, the amount on that project, I'm quite sure, has grown probably almost to, almost 3 million now, Mr. Brown? Quite, because it was 2.6. We need,
If we think about how much the road costs have gone up at $500,000 a mile.
right.
It's 4 miles.
It's about 3.8 miles.
3.8 miles.
It's about 3.8. I think we need to go back and have another discussion with them and see, are they willing to contribute? Because if not, this round of T-Splosh still wouldn't give them enough money to do that road.
Not without contributions.
No, no.
And you're talking there, Commissioner Stephen, that's the entire length of that road.
Right, that's right.
Some of that, though, will be
Riceboro.
city of Riceboro.
Riceboro, but Riceboro's not going, last time we sat at the table with them, Riceboro didn't have any, they wasn't going to have anything to contribute toward it, really. And I think somebody was going to Atlanta to talk with the, Mr. Chairman, were you in that meeting?
I wasn't in it, but you know, you
Mr.
reminded
Brown
me,
and myself.
I heard Mayor Stacy say something the last month or so, that there are discussions with D.S. Smith about the road.
Yeah, they always, the discussion is, can we patch it?
Yeah.
That's the discussion.
And, you know, we didn't get into it, but it sounded, whatever they discussed, it sounded pretty positive.
Okay. Well, I'll get with him,
We
because
can-
we all need to be on the same page.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it's ours, it's ours, but if it belongs to the city of Riceboro, then, you know, let's fix what's ours, and if they need some help, I understand it. I mean, even a dirt road that's out here, we're 100% responsible for it after the log trucks has beat it out.
Right.
And Trent running up down Hines Road, every time I turn around,
Patching it.
yeah, well, I mean, he's aggravating the dirt, if you want to call it that, but
Yeah.
it's got to be done. So if the road needs to be fixed, if the chairman says we got somebody going to Atlanta, of course, they may wait till after the election to come.
Chairman.
Just
Okay.
Good, Mayor.
You had something?
On the sales tax money, road money detail.
Yes.
And, Mr. Chairman, I don't know if I know I can't spend your money. I can act like I can, but I thought that we were supposed to kind of partner a little bit on the Salette and Davis Road.
We did talk about that
We
yesterday.
did talk about that.
We didn't have any numbers, but we talked about it.
Yeah. Well, I think we were going to get the majority of it from Allenhurst, and you and I were going to
sir.
kind of piggyback
That
on
was
it.
our discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? His number for the obligations, and I'm just looking at this, his number for the obligations is 270, so there is some in that. We just did not add that to his footnote, because on his footnote, it says 80,000 for Yeoman's Road, 100,000 for Southside Park, so it would be another 90,361 for the Davis and Salette. So it is in there. I'll just add it to the footnote. Thank you for
Okay, okay.
catching that.
So we have a number.
You do have a number, the
Yeah, we-
90,361.
Yeah, we got it now.
Yes.
Okay, all right, thanks.
I'll add
And,
that, thank you.
Now I have the number.
Not-
But I will tell you, it's in the numbers, it just wasn't in the note.
Yeah, the math is there,
But you're
Right.
we did-
No, it isn't.
We did agree to partner.
I said I didn't want to get all the credit for your whole neighborhood.
Thank you, sir.
And
Chairman, he asked me for money now.
I'm still going to get your money. And to give it to Marion like I always do.
Thank you.
And I guess, and Kim, you made a good point that, that exercise that we went through, I mean, it's eye-opening, that the meetings that we had. And, I mean, it may not make a difference, but if you did meet with the constitutional officers and lay it out kind of like you did, I think they may have a change of heart. But, I mean, the only way to find out is to find out. So, and if you do that, if we get anything, I think it'll help. But because it's eye-opening when you lay it down like that and it's explained it and you can see it, you know, in May or June when we are budgeting, that's one thing, but then now when it's time to set the millage and you take a look at it, and it's all of us, all us are in this together, so that,
Right, right.
but that explanation is about as real as it gets.
Yes, sir.
So if you can do that, I think it'll be great.
Yeah,
Might not get nothing, but,
that's my intention.
okay, good, okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
And one thing, Kim, when we were going through your slides the other day and we were looking at what the modern $150,000 house would generate, I just took the opportunity this weekend to look at sales since me and you talked, and the $150,000 house, I couldn't find but 3 or 4 of them. So we might want to.
It needs to be raised.
So we definitely, I can make a couple of more examples. I will tell you this, the advertisements require us to use the average home value. And believe it or not, when I contacted the assessor's office, the average home value in Liberty County, countywide, is $125,000.
Really?
Really. Might not be what's selling right now.
Think outside of Hinesville, guys.
What?
Think outside of Hinesville.
That's what I'm looking at. I'm
Think
looking at-
outside of New Hinesville.
And don't look at the coast. But, yeah.
Lot less houses on the coast.
But I certainly can do a couple of different examples so that you can see the difference between the 150 and maybe even the 250.
Well, the Liberty magazine that was put out, I looked at it, and we're looking at anywhere between 225, some of them up to 400,000. Now, I know that can be looked at 2 or 3 different ways. Somebody said, well, it ain't the house, it's the house and the property. And it don't make no difference. You're assessed on everything there, so. When we did it, it was great because it was about 8 years ago.
Right.
But this dollar has declined.
Mr. Chair, is that included with mobile homes as well, with that value? For the
If there are homes, if it's a homesteaded home, yes.
Okay.
Yes, it-
Modular structure,
Well,
right.
Modular structure.
Right. Yeah, because I think,
if they were grouped in the real property, not the personal property, yeah.
right, because in our meeting, I saw that for 175. I was like, let me know where it's at.
Okay,
hard to believe.
okay.
Mr.
125
Chairman,
is average.
Ms. Kim, I was looking at the sales tax and road money detail, and I see a bunch of red beside District 4.
This is English class.
Is that something that you could explain now, or what I need to meet with you?
In the red are the obligations, just to show you that that's what we're deducting from your available balance. So the column all the way to the right, if you're looking under the road money detail, that is your available balance. So the way this works is we get the collected to date plus the other revenue, less all the adjustments of the transfers that you've made to recreation, less the expenses, less the obligations, and that leaves you your available balance over to the right. So even though you see a lot of red, those reds stand for obligations, so.
Yeah, I guess the main question I was getting at is the transfers to recreation.
So the reason I make them red here is because we're taking them away from the road money and we're adding them to recreation. So if you go to the front page of your report and you go up to where recreation is and you see that other revenue, and you look at item B, you'll see all the monies that have come from the commissioner's road funds are identified for recreation. So it's a positive number here because it's a negative number here, so they net to zero. So it's the same amount of money. We've just moved it from roads to recreation.
Mr. Jones, that was actually an obligation that your predecessor made early into the program.
Yeah, that's
It
what
went
I was-
toward.
That's what I was
Yes, sir.
getting
It went
around
towards-
tell it.
It went towards Gill Park. That was a contribution.
Yeah, because I knew of the obligations that I had committed to, and
No, sir, it's total
All
obligations
right.
from the inception of the sale.
that's what I was.
Get his debit card, get his debit card.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
When you raised your hand up, you accepted it.
Thank you.
Anything else? If there's nothing else, I was going to let Miss Samantha just share a couple of words with y'all, and you could ask her questions if you like. Go ahead.
Hello, good evening. I'm Samantha, as they've introduced me, and I'm very happy to be joining the Liberty County family. Everyone has been so kind and welcoming and made me feel right at home. And I am especially grateful that Kim has offered to stay on her additional 2.5 months to train me and show me the ropes. And I look forward to working with you all. And thank you for having me.
Ms. Samantha, it's one thing I will caution you on. Learn how to lock your door when a certain person comes from the other end of the building to your office. I'm just messing with you around.
I will tell you, she is a Georgia Bulldog fan. She did get her education in Florida, so there'll be none of this South Georgia bag that comes from over. We will have Florida math.
Can't argue
But
with that.
like I said, she's been auditing for years, so she's extremely well-versed in
Right.
governmental accounting and in financial reporting. So now really what she's learning mostly are our systems, our actual software systems, and actually all the functions, payroll function, the billing and cash posting, and the purchasing and the payables, all the different functions that go along, and the millage rate and the budget stuff, the things that happen in a finance department, not necessarily in auditing.
I'm glad to have you.
Glad to have you too, Samantha.
Welcome
I'm glad.
aboard.
Have you ever worked for a county before? It's mainly been just for a firm.
Yes.
There'll be a lot of hollering and carrying on. We don't always agree, but
Sure.
at the end of the day, our job is to try to do what's best for all the constituents.
Yeah.
And a dollar down in Florida looks just like it does in Georgia. So Kim will try to tell you different, but it's,
It's a prettier
don't
dollar.
look the same. Welcome.
Thank you.
And if any of us can help you, you just give us a call.
Thank you, sir.
Kim, while you're still there, if you will, please, since we kind of opened that door a little bit, and once again, we're being live streamed, will you please explain to our viewing audience the two major factors that we're what's the word, working with and around as we prepare to set the millage with those two?
So there's a couple of things. You're at a disadvantage with your fiscal year because you have to adopt a budget before you actually know what the digest will produce for you. And the digest, the property taxes, are your most significant revenue line item, over half. So you're adopting a budget without really knowing for sure whether or not your major revenue line item will be there to support it. And we work through this, seems like every year. So there's two types of growth. There's the real growth, and then there's the reassessed growth. So the real growth is when something brand new comes onto the digest, brand new built. Reassessed growth is if your property, because of the sales around it, happens to be reevaluated, so it just increases in value. So your taxes will go up. If your assessment has gone up, your taxes are going to go up. If you've added on, that's new real growth, your taxes will go up. Brand new home, it's real property, adds to the digest. In our case, this particular year, because our budget grew by $7 million, even though there was significant growth in the digest, both real and reassessed, it wasn't enough to support an additional $7 million. This year, 1 mil countywide will generate about $1.54 million. That's at 100% collection. So again, last year, 1 mil produced about 1.3 almost 1.4 million, maybe 1.38 million. But now it's just gone up to 1.54. So yes, it increased, but think about how much that differential, that 150 or 200,000, and our millage rate is 16 mills, that's not going to cover $7 million. So that is the struggle that we're working with right now. We've identified certain expenses that we hope fund balance will cover, those one-time expenses. And I've already met with a couple of department heads, one in particular that we talked about, Mr. Chairman, and we've found a pretty good amount of number, few $100,000 to scale back. But again, I think Commissioner Gillard is right. I think once the elected officials actually look at what we're up against, maybe they will be a little bit more conservative towards the second half of the year with their spending and their requests, knowing that, you know, if they turn money back in, that's just that less fund balance we have to eat up. So, and I'll be honest with you, most departments, at least Mr. Brown's departments, they do turn money back in at the end of the year. So it's not unusual in certain years, and you know this, for us to come under budget at the end of June of like $1 million. So, you know, when we first set our budget, you know, could you say, are we going to expense, you know, are we going to actually exhaust all 48 point whatever million? Maybe not. Maybe we will come in at 46 or 47, and then 2 million of that will be covered by fund balance because those were one-time items. So, you know, it could help out. But it really, it will take everybody working together. It really will. Otherwise, we are going to start depleting fund balance for more than just those one-time items.
And I appreciate your diplomacy. Want to go ahead and say those two big ticket items are EMS and our fire department.
Yes. You made a commitment some years ago to stand up a countywide fire department, and we have slowly been getting there. You know, we went back in 2017, and maybe that fire budget was $300,000. This year, I think it's over 4 million, 4.6 million. And I hope, once we get to the point where the fire stations are built and we're fully staffed and we have all the equipment, that'll kind of level out. I would hope so. And maybe this is just one of those big years where we grew a little bit faster than the digest could support. Certainly EMS was a hit. It was a hit last year. And this year, we're budgeting a whole year for it, and that's about a $2 million loss right there. So that alone is about $1.5 million. And so the fact that you're advertising to go from 16.6 to 17.4, when you know the loss on just EMS is $1.5 million, that speaks volumes. So, you know, but you made the commitment, and standing by it, and we're going to try and work through it best we can. And like I said, I hope when those elected officials see this, you know, they'll just keep it in their mind that they don't have to spend every single penny. That this is a tough year because this is the last and final year that we're pushing to get all the recruits and all the firefighters and EMS folks and everything up and running. So. Yeah, it's difficult.
Jim, I got one. Mr. Brown, Ms. Kim. What you took away from that department, is it gonna leave enough to, when the last brick is laid, the roof is on, to put everything in that station?
I do believe so. Now, there is still the question of the lieutenants, and we can still talk about that and all.
No, I'm talking about like furniture-wise.
Yes, sir.
It will?
Yes, so the furniture and fixtures, FF&E and everything is in the construction budget. So, yes, sir.
And of course, that was part of that bond issue that we've got money reserved for.
Thank you. I just wanted to go ahead and get that out there so our viewing audience would know what we're dealing with and what's the uptick in our budget. Just give you a little bit of insight. So we did speak to the fire chief, and we asked about staggering some positions. And ladies and gentlemen, if you were to hear him explain, how do I say, the present working conditions.
The load, the current load.
He barely gets time to breathe right now because he's chief and doing everything else too. He's answering a lot of questions, staying on call, he and his assistant. So he was agreeable that he would stagger where we could, but he made it very clear that the working conditions are not ideal right now for that department, so.
And we also looked operationally and found some money operationally that we think we can defer, and he'll be okay.
Yeah. So those are some of the inside stories that general public would not know, as well as constitutional officers would not know what's being done, to help to balance the budget. So I just want to get that out there.
Okay?
All right. Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Samantha, good to have you. You got it from here? All right. Engineering,
Trent Long.
trend number 2.
Lost some weight, didn't
Yeah, I'm trying to slim down a little bit. Yeah, Trent, he couldn't make it again today, but be happy to answer any questions I can. Want to lead off if there was any questions y'all might have had. I think you have his mid-month report in front of you. But start out with if y'all had anything in particular you wanted to look into.
Yes. Trade Hill Road,
Trade Hill Road.
Polite Lane. That project has been lingering on now for almost a year. I'd like to see some action on it. If somebody is overloaded, we need to know, so we have to contract it out. We need to do it.
Okay. I will look into that and get Mr. Trent.
And also Miller Park, Mr. Brown. It's dry down there. Same kind of gumbo clay. It's on Miller Field. It's over at the fire station. They're over there working real hard on that section on the fire department. They done did the holding pond and everything else. Miller Park looks like Boo-Boo the Bear. People ride by every day and they're constantly calling me. We need to do something with it and show some action over there somehow or another. I know one time we said that we were waiting on the power company. Power company has done what they needed to do. But there has been no action over there this month at all, and it's dry.
And I think, and I had that on my report to bring in, thank you, Ms. Stevens, is I was under the impression Trent had especially spoken to you about that because there is some bad material that's got to be pulled out of there, just like we had to do on the fire station, had to do on EMS a couple of times. And so it's going to cause a change order to be done there. That amount's been calculated. And in fact, he met with Ms. McLaughlin last week to be able to secure some extra funding through SPLOSH so that it would not need to come from any other source. And so that is on Trent's report. That is what he's working on, that change order to be able to execute that to get that material pulled out.
That should be ready to be presented it's not ready today, but it will be on the next meeting.
So on that change order, we won't see no action till after the next meeting with the change order?
I believe not, because
And it could be raining by then.
Until that's established, it's kind of, they can't really move forwards till we get that approved.
Okay.
Question on the back, the Davidson Select, just reading it, it says, is preparing construction plans. Now, this is not a dirt road. These are paved roads that need some, be resurfaced. I mean, the road is there, it's been there, it's just in bad shape, it's beat up real bad. I don't know how much actual construction these plans call for, but I do know that, it's going to be resurfaced at the same width and everything. The only thing new would be new asphalt and some striping. So I don't really know what how detailed the construction plans need to be to.
I'm not familiar with this one, but I will get with Mr. Trent on this. Only thing I can think of, I see where they're having some core cuts in there, so I imagine there's a problem with some thicknesses. I'm not exactly sure if there's going to be some rehabilitation as well, but core cuts usually indicate there's might be deeper trouble than just surface.
It's some bad, dips in it.
Yes, sir.
On Davis, I believe.
I imagine that's why he's
But I
talking
do know
about trying to figure out how deep they need to go and come back with it.
In Walthamville, from Shaw to the Allenhurst line, Walthamville got that done pretty quick. The guy was out there today, and by lunchtime, he had resurfaced it. And it is bad on Davis, but the part of Select doesn't seem like it need that much, but it might. You know, I'm just wondering, you know, I'd like to try to get that done before the rainy season get in here.
Yes, sir.
And Claudia Lane, that's Commissioner's Stevens District now, but the water system, you know, that's been an ongoing project back when that was in my district, you know, for the last 12 years. But I think we're getting some movement on it. And I know Lamar Tillman was doing some work with that, and you know, Trent has been working in it, and we're trying to get the letters out. I think the last time I had talked, I thought the letters would have been out a month ago, but they still hadn't been given out. So, you know, just like to just see a little movement, a little more movement in those two areas. I get calls, and Commissioner Stevens get calls on that as well. So we're just trying to get some people's some clean drinking water down there as soon as we can.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Brown, Mr. Chairman, I'm glad you mentioned quality of land. Just, Mr. Brown, the discussion that we had the other day, will we be able to locate any funding to complete this project on Claudia Lane?
So one thing he's looking at is is the exact length that it'll be taken on the right-of-way so that we get a full access deed there, so that we can rectify not only the cost, I'm sorry to be such a long answer, to get the exact cost of what it's going to take to put that thing in, including fire hydrants. There is $25,000 that's left in the water fund, but you may remember that years ago, there was some money left in that water fund, and Claudia was passed because you couldn't get the right-of-way on it or couldn't get access, and so you made the decision to shift that money over to extend the water line, actually a little further up 196 East. So there won't be enough money to be able to construct that, to go in there. You will have to find some additional funding for that.
We need to find the money before we initiate the start.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we will.
Well, it looks to me like, of course, the park, and I offered up some money, and you're right, it has been about 18 months, but somewhere down there, they're having an issue getting fill dirt, obviously. I know they're hauling it from as far away as Long County. And that may be something that you folks need to go out there and let's start looking on that end of the county for some place that we can have I hate to call it a bar pit, but we're gonna have issues that, after you muck it out, it needs to be filled right back in. And if you've got to haul it 15 miles away, I mean, it's just a limited amount of time, because they're gonna have to come down 84, which they're doing the work in Flemington, and I don't want to drag it on no longer. To be real honest with you, Commissioner Stevens, I could have probably used that money and already had something done.
Right.
But I mean, it's something I committed for the recreation, and I want us to move forward with it.
Yep. Yeah, and we
I'm
will.
gonna get some from the chairman.
No, you're not. No, you're not. No.
But I'm serious about that now. I mean, we really and truly, I think that if we need to, because you're gonna have Clinton's building, I mean, we're gonna be looking at that. We're gonna also be looking at the possibility of more road work if the sales tax passes. So, you know, that's gonna be the next thing is, well, we can't get dirt.
Well, and we last year ran ads in the paper, and we looked at actual soil locations around the county, contacted some folks, and ran ads in the paper, wanting to know if anybody would be interested in even selling. We got to pay for it, but to sell for it, and we didn't have any takers. So it's probably time to go back out and try to do that again.
Mr. Brown, let me tell Trent, you get with me later. I believe I know where a good pit is at. Don't know if it's been tested yet or not. It's in the McIntosh area.
That would be very helpful.
Can I make a comment? You done said, I'm sorry, you wanted to say something?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Brown, how you do, sir? is there any update on the phase 1 of Habersham that we were supposed to have been doing, making some improvements on the drainage? I think we've discussed it a couple of times, and Trent had mentioned that we were going to get on it. I was wondering if there's been any progress made toward that fix yet.
I'll have to talk with Mr. Wells. Actually, Mr. Wells was going to be doing that with Mr. Long, and I'll let you know tomorrow. I can touch base with him, be glad to.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Something that Commissioner Gillett brought to my attention in the Allenhurst Waltha Bay area. I just need to ensure that something's being done. The Salette and Davis Street, obviously, I think it's the issue is the quality of paving. Can we be assured now that there's a one level of paving when we do projects here in Liberty County?
Yes, sir, because, I mean, Brandon would say this, but we follow DOT specs. I mean, there really is only one guide. I don't know how Salette and Davis was done.
Yeah.
Or what, but
It
we
doesn't-
are.
it
We
doesn't
adhere
compare to some other
strict-
streets.
Strict GOT specs.
Yeah.
That might be why he's doing the core cuts on it to see what's actually out there.
I got out with, Jerry had told me about the road, and I looked at it, and it's a clay-based road.
Oh.
No rock underneath it.
Okay,
And that's one of the reasons why it's like that, Mr. Chairman. It's probably gonna have to be
They probably have to do a reclamation on it.
completely redone.
grind
And then to put the specs in.
Okay. But that won't happen now.
No, sir, we don't, sand clay base, quit using that for, I'm not saying others don't use it, but we don't use it.
Look like that black felt that they use for, before they put shingles on top of a house.
Probably what happened then is you had,
That's what it looks like.
well, what you got is bad soil under there then that may have to be mucked out. That was that fabric layer.
Yeah, that's.
Stabilizer layer, so that's another
That's why-
issue, but.
that's why it's beat out so bad. So, Mr. Chairman, how much more money you got? 'Cause it may,
Close my account, Kim.
yeah, hey, it may be a construction project. 'Cause it's.
It may be, especially if
It
it's
is
got
bad.
fabric already under it.
Oh, yeah.
It'll take a little more.
It's so bad, I've seen school buses in there that,
It's bad.
yeah, it's,
Yeah, they don't pave them like that no more, which is a good thing.
Right, yeah.
It's been years since they did anything on that side of Allenhurst.
I wanted to make sure we have one standard.
Yeah.
Yes,
We do.
We do.
All right. Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank y'all.
All right.
LMIG's on here.
But LMIG, yep.
I know Trent has the LMIG prepared. I believe there's one section he's got to divide up. I believe it's Mr. Justin's area, project. But he has it prepared. He did not give it to me today, but I know he's got it ready.
Yeah.
Once that one project's broken up.
And I talked with Trent yesterday, he and I need to get together on my portion of the LMIG. He did call me yesterday.
Okay, well, maybe it's your area. I
Yeah,
thought he said Mr. Justin.
I don't know, maybe there's something with Justin, but he did call me about, and he and I will get together next week on that.
Yes, sir.
It's on here as an action item, so we'll defer that to the
Yes,
next.
sir, I'll make a note if that's okay. We'll put it on in November.
All right.
Because we do need to get it on to Atlanta. I think the drop dead date is shortly after the next meeting,
Okay.
as a matter of fact.
Have Trent send that out to all of us, please, so you all.
I bet when you see Trent, you're gonna say, "Don't look at me, don't send me." Don't send me back over there no more.
See, I had a nice little report.
Yeah, I mean, he started out saying, "Hey, look and said, here's."
That was your worst mistake.
Hey.
Do y'all have any questions?
I promise you, I thought he was gonna be just quick up there. Then y'all just started firing at him. I felt bad. That's why I've been quiet over here.
I warned him before he got up here, I was
Hey,
coming after him.
but what I like about him, he done walked away 5 times.
Thank you, Brandon.
And he took plenty of notes.
Yeah.
You did. You did.
All right.
All right. Sheriff Office Grant, Shaquille Russell.
Man, hey, Mr. Chairman, before you, back in the day, Shaq, as we call him, he used to be my nephew. I hadn't seen him in a long time. He done moved up, left me and went up to City Hall. Now he's over at the Justice Center. This is the first time I seen him. I mean, my nephew. Now he was my nephew.
I want something.
I was Uncle Gary. I was Uncle Gary for 3 years, and I hadn't seen him. But nice to see you, nephew. We still family, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Okay, all right, okay.
First of all, good afternoon, Chairman, Commissioners. I'm Shaquille Russell. I'm the Grant Administrator for the Liberty County Sheriff's Office, and I'm here to speak of 3 federal grants that we've been awarded. and one state grant that we've been awarded. I'm gonna start with one, and if you have any questions, I'll break in between. The sheriff's office has been awarded $14,242 from the Ed Byrne Memorial Justice Grant. This grant would be used to purchase a CPR Guardian for the Liberty County Jail to improve handling and storage of the inmate property. The CPR Guardian total is $21,125. So the difference of it would be coming out of the Liberty County Jail budget. It's going to help improve in processing and out processing, and it's eliminate any lost property from the jail, and it's 100% tamper proof. There is no cash match for this grant, but we'll just be coming out of budget for the remaining
Difference?
of the difference of the machine.
All right.
Mr. Brown, this was one item that was on their request list, right? Doing their budget?
No, sir.
Was not?
That was the scanner. The scanner
Oh, the
is what
scanner.
was under, yes, sir,
Yeah.
yes, sir. That was funded through the ARPA.
Okay.
Okay, the next grant, the sheriff's office has been awarded $53,940 for the body worn camera policy implementation program. There is a 50% match for this grant, but it would be paid in in-kind hours from my salary and two other people's salary, so there will be no cash match for this grant. It's going to be used to help purchase 30 more body wear cameras from under the current contract vendor, and it will provide 2 years of service for that grant. So that'll cover 30 cameras and 2 years of service.
Now, this was on
Yes,
your
sir.
request list, right?
More body cams was, yeah.
Nobody, okay.
Yes, sir. The next grant is for this one's catered to the K-9 unit. They were approved for $120,000 for the Camden Avante program grant. It's for locating individuals with dementia and developmental disabilities by providing scent kits to everyone that has those disabilities. So they'll be able to track them faster. So if anyone with autism or something, they get lost, they have a scent kit they can provide to the canines, and the canines can pick up the scent and start tracking them faster. They're going to be partnering with a lot of the local schools in the area, and a lot of the nursing homes that have people that have dementia, because as we know, Hinesville is full of woods and water. It's easy for somebody to wander off and get lost here. So having these kits will probably be, they'll definitely help in the long run. This is a 2-year grant, and it's actually, it provides a canine also. So it gives them an additional trained canine, and it sends the handler and another canine to get trained also. So this is for 2 years, and there is no match for this grant either.
Scent kit.
Yes, sir. It's a scent kits. They provide it to people that or the caregivers. The people have developmental disabilities. You just wipe it up on your arms. You place it in a jar. You keep it in your house. So if they wander off or they get lost, you can call the K-9 unit that already have their scent, and they can pick up the scent a lot faster than trying to just locate. Just in starting in the area, they already pick up a scent.
How many kits with this grant?
I think a total we wanted to do all around. Actually, I don't have the exact number with me, but it's close to 100,000 kits. So we want to spend. We broke it into 2 years, 60,000 for 1 year and 60,000 for the next year. The kits do vary, but they're small, so they're not really something that would be bulky. But we'll have enough to try to pass out everyone, to get it to everyone within the county.
I was thinking about how you would manage that process of getting them out too. You mentioned the schools.
Yes, I spoke to Dr. Perry about it. So they will once we get the funds and everything is straightened away, they'll work with the Board of Education to try to get that information out to parents. And also using the nursing homes and anything else to try to get all that information out, going to attending any events that the city holds, just trying to get that word out. And social media is another big thing that they're going to use too, because paying for ads are factored into the budget too.
Is it? Okay.
Yes,
And we
sir.
do- And we
and
do
like I
get the
said-
K-9.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
do get a K-9?
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
correct? Within the $120,000?
Yes, ma'am.
That's pretty good.
You say they'll train 2 canines?
They'll provide
Active.
one that's trained, and then we'll send another one.
That you have already.
That's another one and a handler to go to a training too, or he will come down here to us.
Didn't we have this grant before? No? I thought
no.
we had a dementia grant.
First time.
Okay, great.
Also, the last one, the sheriff's office was awarded $35,400 from the Governor Criminal Justice Coordinator Council Law Enforcement Training Grant. This training grant, these funds are going to be used for force and de-escalation training, crisis intervention, and school safety. The awarded funds will be used by the sheriff's office to purchase simulated weapons, tactical training aids for outdoor use, and EMS training aids, including what's that? Dummies.
Mannequins.
Yes, mannequins. I'm sorry. So we purchased mannequins.
Dummies too.
A lot of EMS training aids, a lot of CPR dummies, so we can stay current on our training. Also, there's no cash match for this grant either.
How much is that one?
This is for $35,400.
Okay, so if I recall correctly, those training mannequins are very expensive.
Very expensive.
Yes, sir.
Expensive.
Yes, sir. That was a big get for us. This is a really good grant for us.
So EMS is gonna use them and
EMS, probably EMS
And the
and
sheriff
fire.
EMS is going to be coming to help provide us training.
Okay.
With the mannequins and the CPR dummies.
Okay.
I'm not sure as much how much they're going to be using them, but I know that's going to provide them with a lot more training.
What's
you
the
mentioned
total?
de-escalation, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
You mentioned de-escalation.
Yes, sir. De-escalation training. The simulated weapons that we're going to be using are paintball trackers, paintball weapons. You know, and a lot of training when it goes in that, they're going to be doing a lot of live action training, a lot of role playing training, role playing scenarios, to try to help, without actually having to be on the road or in any situation that's outside of training. So they won't be, this is the first time that they've seen this type of scenario. And the funds will also purchase simulated weapons, so prop guns, prop tasers, anything that can help them get a more lifelike feel to the training. But yes, sir.
What is the total amount of all of the grants that you have,
All the grants here or all the grants
that you have,
You
120,000.
just presented.
how much?
120.
Oh, no,
About a little over 200,000.
It was
Yes, sir.
About 210,
216.
211.
a little over 200,000.
in the notes.
I don't have the notes.
Oh,
I don't have the notes.
yes, sir. It's a little over 200,000.
Mr. Brown, you did a good job on getting her. Think we can get him?
He's doing good. I don't want to be arrested, sir.
Yes, sir. The few of the federal grants, the CJCC grant, that's why I'm presenting to you today that I needed the chairman's signature on some of the paperwork, since we do share the same tax ID number as the Board of Commissioners. That's why your signature was going to be needed. But hopefully this isn't the last time I'm up
Oh,
here.
sir, keep it coming.
You come.
Keep it coming.
Yes, sir. That's true.
If
If you want to,
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm sorry, so if the board would just make a motion in a second to authorize a receipt of those, then it'd give you the right to sign any of the paperwork necessary for the governing authority on those grants. That'd be great.
So move.
Second.
second, any further discussion? All in favor by show of hands, please. All right, it's done. Good job, good work.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Great job.
Good work.
On the Narcan, I know that don't last forever. How do y'all maintain that, Sheriff? I mean, you gotta have supply for all of them, but I mean, is there a shelf life on it?
I don't know right off the bat what shelf life is for them, but we always, I think last time we got a grant for them.
Yes, we actually got another grant for Narcan kits. I think they supplied us with 86 additional Narcan kits. So that helped. I learned the shelf life while I was doing it, but I can't remember off the top of my
So
head.
you're using it that often then, sounds like.
Well, you can never have too many Narcan
right.
kits, sir. So I'm not sure of the shelf life, but I know if you keep them in warm conditions, even if Georgia heat, they don't expire that often, even in Georgia heat. I did learn that much.
We keep them stored properly, so they last. We don't get low. We try to make sure we have maintained.
What now?
We don't get low, so we make sure
No,
we
I just,
maintain enough.
every time you turn read in the newspaper, there's somebody, they have to give it to them, so I'm just saying, it's kinda like a taser would last for a long time, but now you got to use one once a day. My wife uses one on me twice a day.
Hopefully, we don't
Get
have
up
to
and
use
go
them
to
that much. I'd just like to say, thank the commissioners for working with us. And definitely, Shaquille has been a great asset to us, and he has done a fantastic job. I can't say enough. We're always trying to make sure we're doing the right thing with the public's funds. So we know we want to try to save money. That's why we out there all the time looking for grants. We always have some in the back waiting to come forward. So we got some. We're working on some now. We know that things are getting more and more expensive, especially in law enforcement, but we do the best we can with what we have. So we appreciate y'all for what y'all do for us, and the community should just be thankful that we have good commissioners and good chairman that's going to take care of us. So thank y'all so much.
We're gonna see how good we are when we come back and talk to you.
Hey,
As Uncle Gary said, we're here to work with you.
yeah. Hey, Shaq, now, you kind of set the bar with these, grants are good, but these no-match grants.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you set the bar now.
Yes,
And you're still my nephew, and I'm glad to see you, but I'm even happier when it's a no-match grant, so when you come back, you already set the bar now. You know.
Sheriff Major, make sure that those go to the top of the list.
Okay, all right,
No match.
okay.
That's
No
the best,
match. That's the best
kind of
kind.
grant.
No digressing, huh?
Shack.
Yes, sir. All right, thank y'all.
All right, Shaq.
Thank you.
I better wait and see how the next one goes. We're talking about jail piping next.
Right.
No grants for jail piping?
No grants for jail piping. Good news is that ARPA is able to do this. You prioritized it under your ARPA budget to do it. It is something that's desperately needed, and I won't go back into all that because I think the jail administrator and sheriff and chief deputy in the past has covered all that. But as y'all know, the jail was built some time back and with copper piping, which was the standard back then, and so. As is happening in homes with the water and the chemicals and things that happen, the deterioration of the copper has happened. So there were, actually, jail administrator obtained 3 quotes on that. You have those in front of you. One of those companies has really specialized in trying to go into jail facilities and be able to do this kind of work. Our recommendation, along with his recommendation, is that the board utilize Ranger Mechanical Company out of Covington, Georgia, to do that. They have a long track record of doing that type of work, and that's who we would recommend to you for $160,500, again, to be funded by ARPA funds, so we can get that work going.
That was the recommendation. I just want to make sure you know that where it says reference, it says Emmanuel County, but I assume they gave us the estimate for Liberty.
Yes, ma'am.
My
Yes, ma'am.
pay-
Yes,
see
ma'am.
that
She, in fact,
typo?
has sent me a
Okay.
correction on that, but it
All right.
is the correct amount.
Okay.
All right, well, I would make a motion that we approve the estimate for Ranger Mechanical for the piping at the Liberty County Jail for $160,500.
Second, motion is second, that we approve the bid from
What's the time frame on getting this done?
Ranger Mechanical.
Look back in here. I know they're going to have to order equipment.
Mr. Stevens, I'll have to find out exactly what that time frame was. I think they indicated to him they could start immediately on it.
Well, I have one question, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, sir.
I mean, we got the second, and that, we had the question part.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you say Ranger, and the three, the other one was Jake Patrick.
Jake Patrick.
Out of Guyton, and
Plum
Plum Pro out of,
Cooler.
Ola, okay. Now, and Ranger has, you said, more experience doing this kind of work, Joey?
Yes, sir. Retrofitting older jails. And they did visit the site, went thoroughly through it. Did a real good job, he felt like, doing a review on what was needed also.
Yeah, but, I mean, their price is a little higher than.
It is.
Than Jake. Okay.
And is,
If we
and,
could.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I see at the bottom, it talks about the change order as well. So, and I noticed the estimate. So, did we put we didn't do a contingency 10% or anything on that? It's just flat out?
We did not, you can do that if you want to, is to add a 10% contingency to that.
Mr. Chair, it was just you know how these projects go.
I
Yeah,
mean,
get started.
even though they did a
What you
through
wanna run
review, there
into.
could be some, he's
Could run into-
going into an old facility.
Could run into-
Going into.
Yeah, he'll come back for,
You know, I have a little bit of experience with renovations, not that big, and I know from a small renovation, once you start digging, something's gonna come up, almost guaranteed. So it's just a thought process.
What percent?
What would do, usually 10%.
Normally, we do 10%.
It'd be 10%, so it'd be about $16,000 on top of that. And that money would not be
utilized
in the
in-
contract. It sets aside only to be approved as needed, so
If need.
it's not part of the contract altogether.
Joey, on this, your group, I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
The jail part of that was, the water line was brought up somewhere along the edge of the tree line from the old, down by the old airport. Is that how it come in?
No, so it runs in there, it actually runs in there along the roadway.
Right
So
by
it actually
Detective
ties into to the detective's
the
office,
detective office.
It does,
and it pumps in.
it does.
I just wondered, that line that's at the jail, I mean, I know how old it is that been looked at as, any contamination in that?
No, sir. In fact, my hat's off to ESG because we did have some valve issues out there a while back. We're not related to ESG, but just valve issues internally. And they were able to put a camera in that line and look at it. So that line of pipe, really from the road to the jail, the supply line, is cast iron. It's in good shape.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm not a plumber.
We need to amend the motion to add the 10% contingency.
If you would, please, that'd be
Yeah,
great.
let's do that.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make them, do I need to reseed or just add to?
You can go ahead and just add to it if you want.
Add to my motion the 10% contingency if needed.
And your second is,
Second.
all right, all in favor, show of hands. Thank you. Mobile food service establishments.
Yes, sir. I'll try.
Hey, wait a minute, y'all ain't gotta, just because we finished, y'all ain't, go
Got
ahead.
his pipe fixed. Thank you all.
Mr. Chairman, this is, and Commissioners, this is an issue that really has come up over time with, obviously, not just recently, the food truck industry has come forth to be even more strong, even in the unincorporated areas. Previously it was, which is before you in the city of Hinesville ordinance, but really spawned off in the city. But now you got a lot of mobile food service establishments that go to events. Right now, the way the county ordinance is written, they have to get a business license each time they go to every separate place, which is kind of antiquated. So I wanted to see if it was okay. This is just something for you to look at. Ours wouldn't necessarily be exactly like this, to see if y'all wanted me to go ahead and try to at least give you a draft of a mobile food service establishment ordinance to be able to consider. I'd like to try to do that as quickly as we can. Fall is a big time. You're not required to go through the notification period and public hearing on ordinances like cities are, but I think we could have you something back by your next meeting if the board wanted to at least consider looking at a draft of that. It'd be very helpful to those businesses, really simplify our permitting process too. And those individual business licenses were not meant really to follow most food service establishments. So
And there's more and more requests for,
there are more and more requests, more and more special events, and yes, sir, a good number.
Yeah, I think they did, the city just adopted something because they had some issues with that. But Joey, I mean, and everybody knows the ice cream man. Now that's more mobile than a food guy setting up at an event, or and some of these food trucks they set up at a certain place every day, from 10 to 2 or something like that. But are you talking? Are we going to be focusing on the ones that that participate in festivals, or the ones that do it every day? I guess the same ordinance would apply for just a mobile food truck.
Well, I want to go in there and see. It's probably two separate issues. So if you got a mobile food wagon that sets up in an establishment and really stays there over a period of time, they probably just need a business license to do that if it's really non-mobile. I think we're really trying to focus on those that move regularly, and they really don't set up in a place and stay there long. They generally handle festivals like you're fixing to see on Main Street to do that. And that's something we'll look both places.
Who all will inspect these trucks?
Actually, it's inspection that gets done by the fire department, it gets done by the health department, and it gets done by permitting also.
1, 2, 3, 4.
There's three separate. And the state just changed their law last year on food service establishments. Actually, it becomes effective this January of '23, that only requires them to get a business license. Only requires them to be inspected by the health department and certified by the health department for one license in the state of Georgia. So if they go from here to Tattnall County, if somebody resident in Liberty County has a food service truck, they want to go to Tattnall County for an event, as long as they have been inspected and have a state license here, they don't have to get another one in Tattnall County. So the state law is going to change.
Not so burdensome on that business.
Sure, reach out to Nick Westbrook, because I know when they did their truck, he mentioned the different counties having the different requirements and a little bit of a headache. So he's battle scarred already, so he could help us out with direction on that. Cause he and I had some conversation about because his truck goes from county to county.
I'm still digesting what Commissioner Stevens said about there's the avenue of enforcement could be health department stop by, he tells building inspector, hey, this ain't working. Building inspector drives up, he might see an extension cord, where's it coming from, and then where does it go as far as who's gonna tell him no? The fellow standing up in there 6'6", he's cooking Boston butts and they smell good. I'm serious, who's going, how are we going, you gonna send the license department down there, I guess, Joey, or, how will this fall, really?
Let me take a look. Let me take a look at some different ordinances as to how they do that. Come back to see what works and what doesn't.
And then it goes back to, some of the complaints of taking business away from other establishments that are, in the community, and these food trucks come in and take the business away from their business. And this don't address that, but you hear those complaints within the
food's good, they're
community. Yeah.
If
But,
food's good, they come.
That's right, that's right.
So I don't feel like a food truck in no capacity could take away from another business. The only thing that could take away from another business is mediocre food, with all due respect, or anything. Right, right. But Mr. Chair, also with this, how about? I guess I have a question about vendors as well.
Okay.
Because I know would the vendor, if you have to get a county business license, it's only for that particular location as well? So are we going to address that?
We certainly can. I know you and I had talked about that, Commissioner Frazier. That's something we need to look into also. People that want to do arts and crafts.
Right.
People that want to set up, and normally just for special events, which
Right.
is where this mostly is geared for. We need to look at that same.
Please do.
I'll be glad to.
And it's the same thing like with the food truck. So say, for instance, I want to do a vendor at the plaza on South Main. I would have to get a county license, and the only way or only place where I could open up a vendor ship or whatnot would be in that particular location. So I would have to pay for a year to just be able to be in that one location. If I want to go to Rice Fest, I had to get a whole nother separate license.
You really do. And so the key, I think, around both of these, and going back to address
The mobilization.
yes, sir, is
Right.
is the timeline. So you can't be in any one location for any certain period of time, any longer than any certain period of time in any one, within a certain time frame. So the businesses that would be set up in the plaza, for instance,
Right.
may say, well, we got a problem with somebody being able to come in here mobile. Well, the fact is they can't come in there mobile, but for so long. And even I think there's probably, as we'll find in some of those ordinances, a provision that says you can't really set up in a commercial, you
Right.
can't
Right.
do that. These are mobile, they're not intended to compete, and they're in locations where no other businesses are.
Right. There we go.
Yep, because they don't pay property tax like a permanent business does.
So I'll be glad to look, again, food service
And vendor.
do that. Yes, sir, we'll be glad to take a look at that. So,
Well, I mean, you're talking about food service.
And then
I know Mr. Ray was talking about whatever it might be, but I mean, a business license, when you say business license, if you're a plumber in Savannah, you can come to Hinesville and work. And it's a business, okay? That don't make no difference. You're doing the plumbing. If you're an electrician, you can work in Hinesville and you can work in Gum Branch. So, I mean, I guess, if you've got a Parker's, you don't want somebody pulling up in your parking lot. Well, they need to police their parking lot. But, I mean.
yeah, hey, listen, we'll take a look at all of those concerns. I mean, there's no immediate rush, so to speak. I mean, even though, I think it's better, but you'll be able to look at it and sort it out. But,
So we got time to go back and
yes, sir.
make notes and come
Oh,
back.
absolutely, absolutely.
Somebody's figured it out.
Yeah.
Administrative report?
I'll be real quick, Mr. Chairman, because I do have a couple of things for the executive session to look at real quickly tonight. Just an update on some of your projects. The two water system projects, we've received final approval from EPD and OPB, which is funding that through their ARPA grant for the Lewis Fraser extension. So I got off the phone with the gentleman this week, in fact, on that. We'll be going ahead and finalizing, trying to get that Lewis Fraser out for bid to do that. Still waiting on EPD. On the, what I'll call the west side piece, but we did receive approval from CSX. So, once we receive approval from EPD, we'll be ready to ramp that one up and get that out too. There is a charge for permanent easement. I think it's about $8,000, for the CSX easement, but that's the good news. That's come through very quickly. So, both of those should be moving forward. Mr. Stevens mentioned EMS station, the slabs poured, they're continue to go up with the block. All the hollow metal frames, which sometimes are delayed on projects, are all on the project. And in fact, support structures are there also, metal support structures. So, bad news is project was held up by some rain and bad soil, two or three different times. And the good news is it allowed the materials to get on hand. So I stopped by there today to look at that. Fire station project being poured in sections. They've completed half of the sectional pours now. They got the first load of steel on site this week.
I believe I've seen two trailers. Is that one load?
I think it's just one load. I think it was just one load.
Okay.
Well, at least this afternoon, they might have dumped some and left, but when I was there this afternoon. But that's good news. That's generally some long lead time material. Don't know of anything there that's going to be a holdup. Sam Harris Gym, if you haven't been by there,
please stop. It is all clean. HVAC contractor now coming back in to try to do some retrofit and installation start there. No material delays there, possibly with transformers and delivery there. We got a pretty long lead time on the transformer units, but hopefully that gets narrowed down. But that's just the nature of being able to get them.
That's Georgia Power,
It'd
huh?
be Georgia Power.
EMC.
It is.
Swimming pool EMC?
Sorry. The swimming pool's EMC. There's a split.
I'm saying. that
Yeah,
they
there's a
looked at
split
that.
there. Yeah, split.
I mean, there's an opportunity there that they could come out of the other one there. They ain't got no long time working on it. They got a long.
Yes,
time.
we do
I knew you were
too.
going.
We do.
We talked about the Miller Park site on the soil conditions in there, and I've made a note to Commissioner Stevens to get back with Mr. Long and really, talk about that some more. Gum Branch Convenience Center, pre-construction conference held there. We'll end up doing a little bit of change order in there to go ahead and totally replace some fencing in the back. People have actually cut into that fencing, and so we're looking at that. The money is appropriated for all that, though, not a problem. Road department plans should be complete in the next 60 days. And with the EMS station and budget and ramping up and all, we'll probably wait until the first of the year to put those out. Generally, the holidays are not a good time at the end of the year to bid projects. So we'll probably wait, have those ready to go January, February in that. A couple of things we are working on. Do anticipate that the land closing will be scheduled for the property acquisition that we're going to do for the health department, and that'll have to be done in open session. We'll be announcing that as that comes forth. And we are preparing a sales agreement for the extra property that's needed for the road department building. I anticipate having both those this week. A couple other projects we're working on, getting a price now for replacement of the roof at the EMS building, the in-town building up here. Yes, sir. And so we'll be getting those proposals out. I'll probably be reaching out to an architect to help a little bit with that. We did get some general commercial bids on that, but in looking back on those were only like 10-year warranties. And you need, if you're going to put a metal roof on, it needs to be at least a 25-year warranty on that. So we'll be working on that. Other thing is, not related to construction at all, the automated data processing payroll program is something that Kim and Laura and a lot of folks have been working on. That has a new go live date of October 30th. So that's a big change and for the better for automation. So just a few things going on there. The other thing I've got for you is a calendar. We normally present this before year end just to let you know when certain things happen and to firmly set your holidays by policy and your board meeting days. There's one conflict that shows up, and I wanted to see what you wanted to do with it. That will be your July meeting, first Tuesday meeting of 2023 would be on July 4th. Want to move that to the 5th?
Hot dogs and hamburgers?
Hey, I bet it won't be on July 4th.
So do you want to try to do that on the 3rd or move it to maybe to the 5th? I think you usually just really do it the next day if you have a conflict. But I didn't know what the pleasure of the board was.
We could look at that and we'll see what we got, and we could decide whether we move it up or back or not at all. I mean, depending on what's happening.
Yes, sir. I'll make a note, we need to, the only little guiding thing there is that no later than May, you need to decide, because if there's any kind of planning commission rezoning that has to be done and advertised, then that would be the only thing. But I'll make a note that we'll leave as is right now, TBD.
Move it to the next week.
So I was thinking maybe the 11th would.
Can we go to the 11th?
Well, you could. The only thing is you'd have a meeting the following week too.
Good.
Or you might just go
Or
to
we
one
could
meeting
just
that
move
month.
our meetings.
Sometimes we do.
First and the third Thursday. And
Yeah.
we could
I think
eliminate
we go
all
with
this.
11th.
Move it
That
to
was
the
the
11th.
fix.
And then the final thing, Mr. Chairman, is.
I know, right.
It's just the notice of the ribbon cutting for the Stephen Cohen Military Family Clinic, which is next Tuesday at 1 o'clock at 345 West Memorial. You should have gotten an
The
invitation.
governor's going to be in town later.
Yes, he is.
Mr. Brown.
Yes, he is.
We're having a meeting at the Rochester School with LCPC on the, is it the 2nd?
I'd have to look.
2nd of November or the 6th of November. can't remember, and we're talking about the issue down there that's on the other side of 95.
Yes, sir. So that's a good lead-in, I guess, just to go ahead and set a pattern for that as far as how that meeting will transpire. As you know, that meeting is to really do a update to the comprehensive plan. So the focus area is from I-95 all the way to the coast. So I need, especially if we're being televised right now, I need for everyone to understand it's not to focus necessarily on problems at the I-95 interchange or the anticipated development area only. Is to look at what the East End needs going forward for the next 10 years. So it would include a look at those things, but also a look at recreational activities that are needed, quality of life that's needed, historical resource preservation that's needed. It's a complete look at the comp plan. And then whatever's decided down there as far as that sector of the county will get rolled into the comp plan update that's done in 2 more years. It won't be redone. So I hope that we'll be able to get the public to engage, to look beyond that and really say, what do you want it to look like? What do you think your input is that you want to give to the comp plan for the entire East End? Transportation, for instance, going much further, Commissioner Walden, 4-lane, whatever it may be, all the way to the coast. So it's not just a stop at the interchange. Yes, sir. Thank you for bringing that up, though.
Appreciate if everyone can show up.
A comp plan is only good for 4 years.
It was 10 years, I think.
10 years. You're supposed to do it for 10 years. You can amend it anytime.
Let me tell you, if you are elected every 4 years, that's how long it lasts.
I understand.
That's the only way you can look at it. I mean, I would have never thought in my wildest dreams that chairman and
Who played is it?
Commissioner Gillard and Commissioner Thrift and Commissioner Stevens, we'd have stood over there at Jack Keel's barbershop and had a justice center. So, I mean, it's just, growth is just going to continue to come. And I hate it because that's a pretty place down there, but I've learned what happens after a few funerals.
Yep.
Back to verify, that date for the public is on our website and is on LCPC's website too.
So
It is.
before we go back there, for the executive session, I would want to say, Mr. Chairman, I think I copied you on the email. We did get some good support from DOT along Allenhurst and Walthamville along Highway 84. I mean, they cleaned up both sides. It looks real good. So, I want to thank DOT. I sent the guy an email yesterday. I think I copied y'all on it, but
That's Mr. Rhodes.
no, it was Sean Houston and Ambrose Alvin. Those were the two that I coordinated with. But they got it done, and it needed it.
You need it. Looks good.
Chairman, there are 3 land acquisition items for us to briefly discuss, and if we could stay in chambers, that'd be good, because I really need to look at a map on the screen with you
Okay.
on one matter, so I don't anticipate it to take long.
Still need to go into executive session?
Yes, sir, we do.
Chair, entertain a motion to,
Second.
all in favor? Show of hands. All right. Ready? All right, Chair, take the motion to come out of executive session back in the regular session.
So moved.
All in favor? Show of hands. All right. Nothing else for good order. Chair, take the motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Show of hands. Thank you. Have a great evening.